Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. This is News Done Differently for Friday, the first day of April 2022. This just in, one of our contributors had sent me a link right before we came on, and it just so happened I already had the story up. Senator Ted Cruz has said the idea of removing President Joe Biden from power by invoking the 25th Amendment to the Constitution would be, quote, dangerous as hell, end quote. Cruz's comments came after Fox News host Tucker Carlson called for the 25th Amendment to be invoked in order to remove Biden from office on Monday. Really not much of a surprise coming from Tucker Carlson, and its timing can be interpreted as such, considering that the former president of the United States asked Russia for help not long ago, and Russia is such a favorite of Tucker Carlson. On to other stories. How are the Oxytex genetically modified mosquitoes working out in other countries? Not so well. These are going to be released in Florida soon. And I find it very odd that the people that think scientists could not invent a vaccine, but they think mosquitoes are going to solve diseases. According to a new scientific publication, genetically engineered mosquitoes produced by Diotech have been spreading out of control in Brazil in their first application. Just something to think about for those of you in Florida. And I've got a grandson in Florida. So it's not, it's personal. It's stupid. Sorry. That's my opinion. The risk of dying in Kyiv is pretty high. And that's why my advice to anyone who wants to come back is please take a little bit more time. That comes from Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, former boxing champion. And our first video of the night comes from our friend Vlad, connected with Vlad on the second day. Actually, it happened on the night of the 24th, and the day of the 25th was the first time we connected. Been sharing his video diary of what it's like on the ground. We've seen him. If you watch the show, you know. If not, thank you for watching, first of all, and please stick around. It's News Done Differently. You get your news, but not in the same way that mainstream gives it to you. Okay, I show you, and I let you think. I don't tailor the news to try to get an opinion or a doctrine across. We've seen Vlad everywhere from in his room while they were waiting to go on assignment on a day off. We've seen him with dogs. We've seen him laying in the grass as enemy fire was overhead, and they've just come into a village that they have liberated from Russian control.
So remember, I show you a picture of a village full of Russian vehicle, and I tell you that I will come here on foot. Here we go. This car, I will show you a picture from a sky. Crazy feeling, to be honest. It was a village called Новый Быків. I never heard about it before, but for the last 2-3 weeks it was my #1 touristic target, and now I'm here. Looking what's happening. Look at that. It was a car with ammunition. As you can see, there is a lot of unexploded armor. And somebody's house. Good morning. So,
and I want to show you a few other pictures that Vlad also shared. This is what the houses look like after the Russians have retreated, and they used a bucket for their um, it's important that I've got this up at the top because it's important. I apologize there. The Russians left in a hurry, in a big hurry. Jim Shudo from CNN posted, Russian forces have withdrawn from a key airport just outside of Kyiv. And this is in the northwest of the Ukrainian capital. Vlad is even farther north than that. And I've got reports from Ilya, one of the other soldiers on the ground, that there are no Russians left, no Russian forces, or very few, and they're scattered, and they're single or smaller, numbers, not more than half a dozen in locations that have just been left behind, and or we're trying to go AWOL, absent without leave, and a lot of people are excited about that. That they're saying the entire Kyiv Oblast is free of Russian occupation, and if that is indeed the case, that is, it's a positive morale wise. But remember, 5 weeks ago, when this all started, I said that Russia is going to use weapons of mass destruction. I said they're going to cross the nuclear line. And I said what you look for is when they start pulling the troops away from Kyiv. We talked in episodes 2 or 3 weeks ago about how they couldn't encircle Kyiv. I told you, just some basic strategy, how they couldn't do it, and it proved that they couldn't do it. And they made a very rapid retreat. And while military analysts are saying, well, it's not a retreat, it is a reposition. And it is. They're not going back to their home bases. They are repositioning. But they have really pulled back from Kyiv, which was the objective and still is the objective. So I really hope I'm wrong, but in the next 48 hours, don't be surprised if there's some absolutely horrific, massive bombing of Kyiv going on. I just read to you what the mayor there said. They have an idea something's coming to, by the fact that everybody's pulling back. It's not, the Russians aren't giving up, and they're certainly not giving up on Kyiv. So I'm troubled. I'm troubled about something happening in the next 48 hours. So this came in from, I've had that up the whole time. This came in from Moscow. I don't want that on. TikTok video obviously comes in from Moscow, and the importance of this is Moscow's getting ready for something too. Okay, Red Square hasn't been this. It's basically fenced off and armed troops about every 50 feet at least, with reinforcements in the background. You can see the buildings. And again, it's significant because we haven't seen it like that before. So Moscow is changing too. There's thoughts that Putin is either in a bunker deep underneath the Kremlin, or he's in one of two other bunkers in the Ural Mountains or near the Kazakhstan, Russia, Siberia border. He is surrounded by doctors, and there's word now that not only liver cancer, but thyroid cancer. And he's traveled with at least 5 doctors on average. So, that's something we've talked about a lot on here, and it's starting to get confirmed. We talked about it before this even started, that you got to keep that in mind when trying to figure out what Putin's doing or why he's trying to do it. COVID kills 3 to 6 times more Republicans. And this is from medium.com. And it's not a surprise because of the anti-vaxxer, anti-mask, try to show everybody you're a tough guy is what Trump was trying to emulate Putin, and try to show everybody what a tough guy he was and what a iron-fisted leader he is. And he's got over 1 million people killed thus far, plus those that got COVID and got really, really sick. And God bless, thank you God, because I got friends in that situation, that they got better. But now it's a concern of what's going to happen. What's their quality of life going to be like, in the next couple of years, or because it's unknown. And it's troubling. So while they're doing away with requirements, okay, it's like, I look at it like this: if I'm driving my car, it's a requirement to have my seatbelt on. All right, and if it wasn't a requirement and I didn't wear my seatbelt, it wouldn't mean I was going to get in a wreck. However, if I did get in a wreck and I didn't have my seatbelt on, chances are I'm going to get hurt a lot worse than if I was driving in my car with my seatbelt on, was in a wreck. So I look at it the same way with COVID. There aren't requirements to wear a mask or to get vaccines or anything like that. But if you have a chance of getting in a wreck, put your seatbelt on beforehand. You always drive with your seatbelt on. So that's where I stand on masking and vaxxing. And I don't think it's not breaking news. The administration of the cursed region of Russia released this earlier about the restriction of sales of gasoline and diesel fuel. They're going to be limited to 15 liters per vehicle starting, well, it's already started because it's April 2nd there now. And until further notice. So they're starting to ration the gasoline and diesel in Russia. Now, I showed you, I think it was last night. If it wasn't last night, it was the night before. I showed you how how Ukrainian people had to get through a minefield in order to get out of the highway to the border to safety. I thought that was just, and then I saw this. Let me get it back to the start. That's just bizarre. I can't imagine. I could not imagine being in a situation where that was part of your um, necessary travel. This, I think most Americans would agree that I'm a level-headed. I think most Americans would agree that I'm level-headed. Sorry, I haven't done Obama in a while. I'm a level-headed individual, not a man who's prone to indulging in conspiracy theories. I've certainly had a fair number directed at me, but has anyone checked to make sure Donald Trump doesn't have a Russian birth certificate? Got to give the former president of the United States a little check there for humor. And speaking of former presidents, Donald Trump argued that a federal judge in Washington, D.C. did not have jurisdiction over him for conduct that occurred when he was president. And here's the judge's ruling. This court is presented with an argument that is perhaps as unprecedented as it is outlandish. The former president of the country denying that he lived in and had minimum contact with the country's capital and the White House during his time as president. He said he lived in Mar-a-Lago. That was the argument, and just came to the White House for business. Israel's under a terror alert. 1,300 elite forces mobilized nationwide to boost security. Israeli Defense Force commando units are deployed alongside troops and police as rapid intervention forces. 100 terror suspects have been arrested so far. Attacks have been foiled at the last moment. That was as of 8 hours ago. And on the streets of Russia, young cadets offer the Z card so that people can identify when stopped by police. As in Ukraine, will take Minsk within a week and a half of Belarus. The Belarusians are, this is a funny thing. Let's pause that. The Belarusians are considering, well, the falsely elected president of Belarus is trying to convince troops to join the fight and open up a new front and try to make a push towards Kyiv as Russia's trying to redeploy to the east. The intelligence, open source intelligence community has seen obviously, as we all have, what the Ukrainian army has done, and the Belarusian army is will be slaughtered if they try, and they know it, and their troops know it, and their troops are like, we're not going to do this. So, but there are 2 columns of Belarusian troops lined up near the border with Ukraine that we're observing. And again, anything breaks out later on tonight, I will be back on, because it's Friday night. It's the beginning of Ramadan. I forgot to mention that earlier when I was talking about Israel, but I do have something on Palestine coming up, and just a little funny TikTok video kind of in the middle of this. Heavy stuff.
How to defend yourself if your mom ever comes swinging at you with a sandal. This right here is my brother. He's going to be playing my mom. So let's say you did something wrong, right? And she swings at you. Pop! Now you have wrist control. What you want to do now is move the trajectory of the sandal away from your face and then pivot inward. From here, you can either break her arm. What I like to do is turn it around. Pop! Now she's disarmed and you have full control. Hey! Show me. Okay, guys, this is my actual mom. Let's do this one more time. So let's say she swings at you, right?
I'm sorry.
Today
I'm sure that's politically incorrect, and and I apologize in advance, but it just made me laugh. GOP Senate candidate Herschel Walker has been overstating his academic achievements for years. GOP candidate Herschel Walker has been overstating his academic achievement. He's been saying that in an inspiring story, that he graduated in the top 1% of his class at the University of Georgia. He did not graduate. In a virtual meeting with the January 6th Select Committee, Jared Kushner was cooperative and very friendly, according to a source in the room. The meeting went for more than 6 hours, and Kushner had a lot to say. Totally wasn't expecting that, as you know. I said on here, it's going to be, I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth. Angry staffer says the sound you hear is Jared shoveling everyone under the bus. I told you somebody's going to turn, and when that happens, dominoes are going to start falling. Okay, that's just another source about the liver cancer and the possibility of thyroid cancer with Putin. Again, we told you that a few weeks back. We had sources that he wasn't well, and we've got to keep that in mind when we're trying to figure out what he might and might not do. The American right-wing dissident Nick Fuentes says he is sending Putin a contingent of disgruntled, quote, gropers, end quote, to fight alongside the Wagner Group mercenaries in the refreshed Russian campaign in Donbass. Nick Fuentes is the guy that held the white supremacist convention that our good friend Marge Taylor Greene spoke at, and whatever the other congressman's name was that decided that was a good idea. Okay, now this guy's going to send troops to fight. He's going to send. Okay, he's not going. People who make the decisions, they don't get their hands dirty. He's going to send gropers, which is probably code name for stupid ass people that believe anything I tell them. And they're going to go fight in Russia. And boy, howdy. I can't even say good on them. I can't even wish them health and safety. If that's what they want to do. FBI, CIA, there may be people that national security, homeland security, there may be people that have something to say about them going to go do that. But yeah, I'm leaving it up here long enough that everybody, everybody that can be listening does have time to write down the name NICKFUENTES. Those that are watching that are part of the government already know who this guy is. If anybody else, is a independent digger, NICKFUENTES. Now, last night there was a strike on a Russian fuel depot, an arms depot, and several other buildings in Berdansk where was it? Hold on a second. Belgorod. Okay, it was in Belgorod. Sorry, too many Eastern European names. You got it mixed up. This is in Belgorod, and there's confusion about who is responsible. 3 or 4 nights ago, there was an ammunitions dump. It's not a dump; it's an ammunitions storage facility was blown up, and they thought it was by human error. The oil depot goes up, and the ammunition dump there, ammunition storage area, and some other buildings all blow up. And the first response from the Russians was, human error again. Then there was a report a few hours later that came out and then disappeared, that a missile had landed, had hit a road inside Russia. So we know that we have a pretty good idea that there weren't any missiles shot out of Ukraine into Russia. Not going to say who's, I'm not going to say anything more than that. We don't know publicly who's responsible for this. And I've got 3 different views of it. The thing is, it really doesn't matter who's responsible for it because it's already happened. If this was Russia actually doing what's called a false flag operation, to where they attack themselves, basically blame it on somebody else to use it as an excuse to escalate, or if Ukraine actually successfully entered into Russian territory and launched a successful attack. Either case, it now gives, in my opinion, the Russians, and it'll be interesting to see what Russian TV says tonight. It'll give the Russians the, excuse to escalate. And again, that plays into my concern about what may happen in Kharkiv or in Kiev. Kharkiv is on the south. We'll get to that in just a minute. And I apologize. I've had you on the map for all this time. Damn it. Sorry about saying damn it on the air. But I'll run back the video that we need. Otherwise, it's okay being on the map. I was just getting ready to go over to the map and kind of come down and show you. Here's Kiev, here's Kharkiv, and there's talk of splitting Russia, or trying to split Ukraine into thirds. I talked about this at one point before, when we were speculating if something were going to happen, and possibly trying to take Kharkiv since it's so close to the border, and basically kind of follow the highway down here. Odessa's right down in here. Mariupol is over here, and try to, split off so that Russia controlled the ocean. I said that there's a possibility they might try to take it down the Dnieper River and divide it into East Ukraine and West Ukraine. I don't. All of that will play out. For me, it's still not. It's still not just about Ukraine. And we're just in a lull. Okay. There's been a couple of days that not a lot has happened over there because of ceasefires, because, again, Russia's repositioning troops and they've been trying to get citizens out. 14 tons of aid that was supposed to go into the people, into Mariupol, was taken by the Russians. We've shown you countless atrocities, but back to the fuel depot. Okay, you can see the glow in you can see the glow in the background here. That's the attack. This is the helicopters passing after the attack's already happened. And that's the best look I've got, or I've found, for the helicopters. And you can't tell if it's a Russian helicopter or if it's Ukraine. They both use similar equipment. The only way you could tell would be through the markings. And this is, hang on. Okay. This is right after the bombs hit, missiles. You see the missile come in and the explosion, massive fireball. Of course, sound travels slower than light, so you see the fireball before you hear the concussions. And the dogs are going crazy. Again, thank you for watching. Sorry, you know, I need a monitor. I need another monitor so I can look over and I know when I'm not doing the production, because I get caught up in the reporting. And again, as I was saying, sound travels faster, or light travels faster than sound. So you see the explosion before you actually hear the concussion. Okay. And then the third video. Okay, that's in this video, you guys actually see the missiles coming in. So again, we're not sure if, you know, on the surface, it seems like Russia wouldn't do this to itself. But again, if they're trying to justify, escalating the conflict, and especially as far as weaponry, you know, you can't put it past them. The woman running for Attorney General in Wisconsin says she is going to, she's running because she's going to charge doctors with homicides because of vaccines, or so-called vaccines. And this is Congressman Matt Gaetz. Now, Matt is the one that has 3 charges against him for human trafficking a minor across state lines. And he also has 2 of his cohorts who have agreed to plea deals to testify against him. And we've reported for the past 3 nights about Madison Cawthorn and saying there are cocaine-induced orgies going on in Washington, D.C. And here's Matt Gaetz. Okay, it's not fair. to that song or to you viewers to witness any more of that. Now, this is not proof that, you know, cocaine orgies are going on, or that Matt Gaetz is a sex criminal. But it doesn't disprove either one of those either. It just proves he's not very good at singing, and Republicans aren't. They're so uptight they can't even dance. They give white people a bad name for having rhythm and being able to move and groove and slip and slide and dance. And the craziness isn't going to go away. Okay, just want to make sure I had hit on the things I wanted to hit on. Again, not only Ukraine, but Myanmar. We've got China that is constantly pressuring Taiwan, even though China at the moment's dealing with a massive COVID outbreak. We've got Kim Jong-il in North Korea. We've got Israel, who has, you know, we reported a couple of weeks back, Israel informed the United States that they had military plans for non-nuclear objectives in Iran, and military activity along the inside the Palestinian territories as well. So there's a lot going on around the world, and battle lines are being drawn everywhere, including here in our country. And Tulsi. There was one time about Tulsi Gabbard being Bernie's running mate, Bernie Sanders. Those that don't know, I ran for Congress against Mike Pence 3 times when he was in Indiana 6th District. And then I came back again in 2016 and won the nomination again. And I was also one of the state's delegates to the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia, a Bernie Sanders delegate. And we had a chance. We were about to take power back for the people, and we got stopped by something called super delegates. And that's for another time. Take you back to the map for just a second, because I want to talk about what's going on here at home. Battle lines are being drawn, as I said, and my least favorite part is going to extreme right-wing sites to get intelligence for stories, information for stories. And I asked a couple of guys that's all they do. All they do is watch these sites. And I said, you know, what's going on in the Wackadoodle area? And one of them wrote back to me and said, it's hard to think of anything more alienating in America than, quote, let's hate football fans and let's work to stop kids from watching Frozen. But that's where the far right's laser focus is at the moment. And I thought, that's kind of crazy that, that can't be, it can't be true. So another person wrote back, it's hard to express just how radicalized far-right spaces have become in the last month, in part because this new brand of radicalization is so specific. These spaces have become openly, aggressively mask off, anti-gay, they've also become extremely anti-sports, and I thought that was rather odd. But then I got sent this. They call it sports ball, and they complain constantly because I also asked, okay, so they're not, it's not about racial stuff anymore. And no, that, that's just a given. They don't talk about it. That's just a given. And you're not white, okay, if you're still watching sports ball at this point. So I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is they are back on, the Russians are back on the QAnon kick. We showed, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that it all but dried up. There wasn't any QAnon stuff going on. Now it is, these are the QAnon things that over here, just so you can identify, because not all of it's QAnon. Some of it's about Star Trek. But there's the QAnon stuff is back. Now, the positive thing about it, there are far right extremists that are just absolutely, we just showed you the sports ball thing, and the fact that it's really becoming anti-gay, anti-Walt Disney, and so much so that the Florida politicians are starting to attack Disney. If I was a Florida resident, I'd be saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't necessarily bite the hand that feeds us, because a whole bunch of people from all over the world come to Disney World. Now, somebody said to me earlier, hey, Disney World really, truly will be the most magical place on earth if, no Republicans ever show up there. And, ha ha ha. But I've got, I had friends that were Republicans at one time before all of this. And most of the people I know aren't radicalized, crazed whack jobs, or at least they weren't the last time I talked to them, and I'm assuming they're not. So we are divided as a country, and we're going to have to do a lot of work to not be divided. Even if we're attacked now, as we were attacked on 9/11, even if we were attacked now, whoa, hang on. Even if we were attacked now, like we were on 9/11, we wouldn't be as united, because the divisions have been dug so deep by those that want to keep us divided, because it's a lot easier to keep us under control that way, because there's about 2% of the people that really control everything as far as money. And if the other 98% ever decided, this isn't working, well, you don't have to be a mathematician to be able to do that math. And it's such a shame that propaganda works so well, so often. And speaking of which, this is Russian television. And in the past, they've been trying to claim that they haven't committed war crimes, that they aren't targeting civilians. And and they released this, okay? Proudly with RT on it. Randomly shooting buildings. That's what's going on in Ukraine. And I want to hop back over here for a second because I didn't get to this point. Now, all this Q stuff's popping back up. We know that I don't have concrete proof yet, but I'm so close that I'm going to go ahead and say we know that QAnon was an artificial intelligence concept, and we know who developed it and who unleashed it on on the naive public that started eating it up. And 6 months ago, if you'd come after an hour, there would have been 300,000 people had already seen this. Only 3,000 people. 21 hours ago, 3,900 people. Okay. Something just happened and it's bad from the survival prepper. This is one of the people so I'm going to have to click on that in just a second. 13 hours ago, 10,000 views. Red wave or red tsunami. The game is over when the public knows the truth. And of course, they say anything but the truth. But the key is the numbers aren't anywhere. They aren't anywhere like they were. 13,000 views a day ago, 10,000 views a day ago. Okay. 6 months ago, those numbers were in the 200,000 and 300,000s. So people are getting off of the Q wagon, and I told you last night I've had some people that are pretty upset because you get really upset when you're wrong. When you're wrong about something, you get mad at yourself for being wrong. That's why you see so many people go off in videos because they get to a store and something happens and they go off and they know they're wrong and they just get angrier because they're wrong. Or they feel like they're wronged. They didn't get a cherry in their milkshake or whatever. Those are the two times people really get angry, is when you're wrong or when you are wronged. And a lot of people that are finding out they were wronged and wrong in the same situation, and they're getting doubly angry. So, and there's really nothing to show you in any of these. They're all basically
looks like one of the first strikes against this lady, if I can call her that. I'm not sure what a woman.
Okay, they're still attacking Hillary Clinton, just just to save us all the excruciation of listening to more of that. National Security Agency employee has been indicted for willful transmission and retention of national defense information. I don't have a name, don't know where he was disseminating the information, but more to come. I told you the other night about we listened to the intercepted phone calls of a couple of Russians, and I told you that, that it happens a lot. And shortly after they make that initial call, the call is tapped, and the number starts getting traced. And if satellite coverage is good, they're targeted. And sometimes they're targeted while they're on the call.
Like that on. Jag bombleshow. Like the ass of the Check out the ass of the man. Like that on.
So, I just wanted you to see for yourselves that it really happens. Okay, that cell phone GPS is very real, and you do something wrong, you get what's called a burner phone. If you don't know what that is, you need to tweet Donald Trump. Mitch Romney came out and suggested cutting retirement benefits for younger Americans because they're not going to be retiring anytime soon. The plan is for them to keep paying into Social Security, but to cut their benefits because the Republicans have to take that money. Okay. Now, that's not bad enough. There are other Republican senators that have signed pledges that they are going to do away with Social Security, with Medicare, with any kind of socialism, which would include police departments, fire departments, libraries, public schools, anything for the good of society. I don't know. They capped insulin at $35. Every Democrat voted for it. Almost all Republicans voted against it. I don't know. Just something to think about. This is absolutely horrific. It's only going to be up here for a few seconds. Russians machine gun hundreds of cows at a farm outside of Kharkiv. This is just one example of them doing this. They've been bombing poultry farms. And at first it was like, well, what are they bombing the poultry? Well, they're doing away with the food supply of the Ukrainians. Thousands of landmines have been laid across fields, and farmers are having trouble planting their crops. And Ukraine is the breadbasket of Eastern Europe, feeding a lot of African and Asian nations, or helping to feed. Sorry, I just heard a really strange noise outside my window. A couple of more stories here from Chernobyl, where a nuclear disaster in 1986, the worst nuclear catastrophe in the world, occurred in 1986. Russians have been occupying that for the past 4 weeks and just pulled out yesterday. And reports of radiation sickness. Now, this is a drive through the Chernobyl Red Forest area. This is a Geiger counter to measure radiation. This is inside of a vehicle that is designed to block radiation. Driving through at a pretty good speed, as you can see. outside of containment vehicle.
Коли ми так швидко їдемо, пам'ятаєте, в нього затримка 10 секунд. Він показує, що бачить 10 секунд.
And the Russian soldiers were deployed there for 4 weeks without protective gear, and a lot of them didn't realize they were at Chernobyl. They weren't told. So it's just hard to imagine. As is this. I always liked CBS. I was a big fan of the Big Bang Theory, and CBS has football. I used to watch NCIS. I used to watch CBS a lot. I don't watch television much at all anymore, and I very rarely watch network. And CBS News hired Mick Mulvaney, one of Trump's closest associates. I would play the Stephen Colbert cut from last night, and I would advise you to go watch it. Stephen Colbert lays into CBS News. CBS had such a high standard. Walter Cronkite, that's the way it is. Edward R. Murrow, and now it's understandable because the president and CEO comes out with, let me make sure I get the volume up.
Would have thought that this circus would come to town, but, it may not be good for America, but it's damn good for CBS. That's all I got to say. So, what can I say? It's, the money's rolling in, and this is fun. I've never seen anything like this, and, this is going to be a very good year for us. Sorry, it's a terrible thing to say, but bring it on, Donald. Go ahead, keep going. Who would have thought that this circus would come to town?
So, Russia drafts 134,500 conscripts, but say that they won't go to Ukraine. For those that question, why is there conflict in Israel? What's the Palestinians' problem? What's the gripe? What's the beef? How do we solve this? I talked about it several months back when fighting intensified, but I wanted to bring this up because March 30th was Palestinian Land Day, and the map basically does as it says. It speaks for itself from the Palestinian perspective of what they are so angry about. This was Palestine at the end of the Second World War, and there were a bunch of displaced Jews. Many of them, a lot of the Jewish population was exterminated by Nazis in World War II. To give them a homeland, to give them a place to feel secure, they chose Palestine and created Israel. This was how it looked in 1947 with the partition. A lot of the land that was formerly Palestine became Israel. These were primarily Jewish settlements here on the first map, quite enlarged, and then the southern section of Israel. Then in 1967, it became, as you see it here on the map, the Gaza Strip, and then the West Bank, the Palestinian West Bank, and the Palestinian Gaza Strip. And through settlements, encroaching, one person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. And illegal settlements, they're illegal, but they're allowed. They keep growing, and now Palestine is down to just this much. You can't even qualify it as the West Bank anymore, because there is no Palestinian really influence along the bank, and that's how it is now. And no matter which side you're on, or if you're neutral and you just want peace like me, this explains why there is so much conflict. Because how can you have a trusted peace when the land is constantly, I mean, you can see the Gaza, this little strip of Gaza, when this was Palestine, but it was too big of a border with the neighboring Arab country of Egypt. So, and I have a feeling it's going to kick off because Ramadan, and just the fact that tensions are so high everywhere. And coming up on over an hour, I hate going over an hour, but let me get back here. I want to get these stories in. And this, I would hope this would wake somebody up. But I found that people don't want to be informed. People aren't searching for the truth. Obviously, the truth doesn't pay very good. People want to hear things that make them comfortable in their own beliefs already. That the insecurity is such that people are closing themselves off to any other ideas other than what they've been taught. People aren't learning. People are going with what they've been taught, and it's just making a major wide divide in our country and in the world. How sad it must be believing that scientists, scholars, historians, economists, and journalists, and actually, I actually qualify as a historian, as an economist, and as a journalist. So I'm probably qualified as a scholar too. Devoted their entire lives to deceiving you, while a reality TV star with decades of fraud and exhaustively documented lying is your only beacon of truth and honesty. The big lie. Keep telling the lie. The more you tell it, the more people will believe it. And not enough people, too many people stood by and let it happen. Again, not going to release everything yet, but 2 degrees of separation between Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein, who was an important financier of transhumanist research. Thiel is on the advisory board of the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. These are the ones that unleashed the AI on creating QAnon. Dick Nixon said, "I'm not a crook. I've never obstructed justice." And Donald Trump said, "I had no idea what a burner phone is. To the best of my knowledge, I've never heard the term." And of course, within minutes, that was refuted. Again, Tucker and Tulsi on Russian media. My contacts are saying that they are on there The nights that are not, they are not, one of the two of them are not on there are rare. On March 15th, it was revealed that Madison Cawthorn bragged about bringing guns into the Capitol on January 6th and handing them out to those around him on his staff. But he didn't attract the ire of Kevin McCarthy until he spoke of cocaine and orgies. And Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't really get a good talking to from Kevin McCarthy. She was just, publicly said, we don't agree with that, for going to a white supremacist rally. It's because that very dangerous small base of the Republican Party, they don't care about white supremacy. They don't care about guns being brought to the Capitol. They got pissed off when they thought there were orgies and cocaine going on. And that's why he had to step in. James Vasquez is the American soldier over there. And this was from a day ago. I get a lot of questions about wanting to join. And he says, I would not rely on any embassy calling you back. If you really want to be here, get a ticket to Warsaw, Poland, make your way to Lviv, where you will find countless resources to get you into a unit. Now, this is if you want to fight for democracy, freedom, a duly elected government, you would be fighting on this side. If you want to fight for tyranny, oppression, and a dictatorial regime, you need to find you need to find your way to Russia, or actually just Peter Fuentes. Adam Kinzinger, Republican congressman, says no former president should ever ask an evil man like Putin for a favor like Trump did yesterday. This is absolutely undermining the national security of this country and should be disqualified for any re-election. And he even sent this to McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, the GOP leader. So he added him, at the leader, and said, leader must address this, as must every Republican. And the response has just been nothing. Absolutely, totally underwhelming. Crickets, as they say. So let's wrap things up here before I get to the 1.5 hour mark. And we'll take a quick look on a Friday night at what's going on. And this is odd. This is what's happening in the aviation world, as we often check here. There are no American or Allied planes that we're aware of. They're out here, but they're just, for some reason, they're flying without their transponders on. Usually we can track them, but there's a reason for them not having their transponders on. And I've been wanting to do this. Go ahead and do it tonight. I haven't done it. This is our naval tracker, our marine tracker, and okay. Let's expand this, but let me see if I can. No, I can't. All right. But this just gives you an idea out here in the Baltic Sea. Just gives you an idea of the number of, okay, this is a Russian tanker. This is a Russian tanker. And these are full of oil, and they're just sitting out here in the Baltic, waiting on a destination. So let's let's see if we can zoom down here a little bit. And here's Ukraine. Let's get down here into, this is the Sea of Azov. And let's see what the Russians are up to. Okay, it's a Russian ship. There. Scientific research ship, yeah. Okay. That's a Ukrainian. All right. Not many ships out there. Spoil ground area. Depth of 9 meters. So there aren't a lot of what do I see? Petroleum. Okay, I didn't. All right. So we keep an eye on this, and here's the in and out. And you can see Russia has basically blocked off any access to bring relief in by sea to either Odessa over here or specifically Mariupol over here, Mykolaiv and Melitopol down here. Mariupol is still under Russian control. The center of the city is, however, the entire city is not under Russian control. This is the spot where the mercenaries are coming in. This is where the Wagner group and the Syrian fighters that are with the Wagner group are going to be coming in, and possibly the American fighters that are being sent by I forgot his name, Peter Fuentes. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I think I've got everything in that I wanted to. No, let me end with this. Just to kind of reinforce what could happen over the weekend in Israel and the Palestinian territory.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News.
You're welcome, George. Thank you for sharing that little report with us. In one final bit of news, Sarah Palin has announced she will be running for Congress in the state of Alaska. Alaska only has one congressperson, and their longtime congressman died last week, or 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. He passed away. And former vice president candidate Sarah Palin, she ran with John McCain, the war hero that Trump basically took a dump on. Guy didn't have any class. you know, you can like him if you want. If you do, you're probably not watching this show and you haven't watched it for a while. But those of you that are watching, thanks for sticking around. I promise I'm going to get better on the production stuff, and I'm going to figure something out that I can do two things at the same time: make the reporting quality good, and make the production decent. And again, those that have stuck around to the end, thank you very much for making it to the end. I love you all. And those that are watching, if you happen to be watching for the first time, thank you very much. Unless something major happens over the course of tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to take tomorrow off. And we'll be back Sunday night at 10 o'clock for News Done Differently. Now, hit the subscribe button and the notification if you're on YouTube, so you'll know when we're on, just in case something big does happen. If it does, we'll jump on as soon as we're aware and start sharing with you. And hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's a peaceful weekend. I could use the day off, just kind of let my shoulders relax down from my ears. I spend a lot of time like this, just and you need to take a step back every once in a while. So we're going to try to do that tomorrow, and hopefully you'll join us Sunday night. And it may not be this Sunday. I do have one more episode of Our Modern World and the Book of Revelation. So that may be Sunday. It may be the following Sunday. I'm not sure yet. It depends how everything goes from here on out. But thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to help support the show, Cashapp, $ American Doofus, all one word. americandufus at Gmail is the way to contact me. And hey, buy my book. I'm serious. It is you will be amazed at how much the book plays into how much things that are happening now are referenced in the book. You can get it. I think you can get it for like $3.99 or $2.99 for the online version, and I think it's back up to $19.99 now for the regular book. So, and I got 2 other books out as well. So please consider the books. Help me out. Spread the word. I love you all. It is April Fool's Day, and it's just, for me, times like this, it's hard to think about being a fool, but it is the American Doofus channel, and I do love you all. This is News Done Differently. Shalom, Salom, Namaste, Slava Ukraini, peace, love, and I hope we see each other again, because at any one time, all of this could go away. The internet, the electricity, everything. So let's remember all of us, no matter what sides we're on, let's remember how good we have it here and not destroy it. Okay? Just something to think about. Again, thanks for watching. News Done Differently. We'll see you Sunday at 10 o'clock.